Good morning. Welcome to the June regional rally for KW Colorado. We're excited that you're here.
Now
Our
we got to go
regional
help people
team, me,
customize and
the
save
regional-
hundreds with Liberty Mutual.
Whoops.
Maybe where's the golf cart?
Russ Holting, your regional director. I'm here with Kelly Sutter, our regional ops manager, and Charles Coleman, our regional tech trainer. Jenny is on assignment. Today, we have a quick agenda. We've got some announcements. Then we're going to move on to a tech update with Charles and Market Center and agent recognition, followed by Cooper and an interview with Day on his social media content strategy. First, for some announcements, the region is hosting Patrick Ferry. Patrick Ferry is KW Maps Coaching's senior advisor for AI and digital marketing. And on this Zoom on June 18th, which you can watch in your market center, which should be hosting a watch party, or in the comfort of your and convenience of your own home. Patrick is going to be going through marketing strategies that he calls appointment first marketing. He's going to talk about how to use the concept of story brand and the tool of AI to turn what you do every day into more appointments. So you're going to want to hear this 90-minute presentation. He's going to be talking about things that our agents typically do on social media that don't work, like the constant just listed posts and the market update posts that don't generate appointments. He's going to talk about how to identify the service that you are doing, that you do so well with your clients, and how to use the story brand framework to turn that into more clicks for you. So don't miss this, 1 o'clock, Thursday, June 18th, in your market center and on Zoom. Here's a quick update from Patrick.
Too many of us in real estate have accepted something that shouldn't be acceptable. That 90% of the marketing we send out is just noise. And it's not producing what we actually want: conversations and appointments. In fact, the most expensive phrase in real estate is when someone says to you, "I didn't know that you would do that." Because when someone says that, it usually means they hired another agent. If we haven't met yet, I'm Patrick Ferry, and I serve two roles: Maps Coach and Senior Advisor for Digital Marketing and AI. In this digital roadshow coming to your region, I'm going to show you how to unlock services and the expertise that you already have and turn them into marketing that creates conversations and books appointments. Using AI as your marketing partner, you're going to learn how to create those campaigns tailored specifically for you, your Keller Williams services, and your marketplace. I'll demonstrate the whole system live, and you're going to lead with the playbook to use it again and again throughout the year. Make sure you get registered and join us live. I look forward to seeing you on the Digital Roadshow.
Alrighty. Let's see if I can. Kelly, I cannot get this to forward. Hold on, folks.
I got
Someone
faith in Russ
says
that
to
he's going to get this. And guys, as we're looking at this, let's just keep in mind that this is only for our region. This is for the Colorado region. No other regions are going to be on this call. And so as we're getting through this with Patrick, this is exclusively for Colorado. And so being able to join on here, it's only going to be Colorado content and Colorado focus.
All right. We've also got the Rocky Mountain Summit coming up. Our keynote speaker was announced last month. It's Sahil Bloom. We've also got Jay Papazan, Wendy Papazan, Jordan Freed, Lauren Lucas, who was just in Denver talking AI last week. David Voorhees is coming to talk tech. Ruben Gonzalez is doing our market update. Brandon Green's talking about wealth building. Caroline Woe is talking about luxury. And oh, by the way, I should mention, and I think I forgot to mention this at the AI Summit Thursday, Lauren Lucas is doing a breakout where she's going to take the concepts that we all keep hearing about in AI and turn it into actual actionable steps that you can work on during that breakout. So don't miss that. Every Monday, Charles and I are doing a market update. We call it the Mile High Market Brief. We do it from 12 to 12:30 every Monday. We're compiling news stories that matter to you and your clients, some national and many local, This is also going on our YouTube channel for the region. You can follow our events at kwcoloradoevents.com. Amy Dieselkamp.
Thank you so much, Russ. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Here with Growth Minded Talent Solutions, bringing you guys another event actually to add to your calendars today. That is the Database Conversion Machine. That will be on Wednesday, July 15th. Apologize for the little typo there. I'll get Kelly an updated slide. But that'll be Wednesday, July 15th at 9:30 Mountain Time. This will be an online workshop. If you scan the QR code there, that will take you to the link to register. This is another free event for your region only. So Growth Minded Talent has partnered with Megan Henry to put this together for you all. And this is going to be a one-time regional event where she's going to be taking you through your database and your biggest asset in your real estate business. So this training will include a framework to organize your database so that way it'll make sense for you. She'll help you with doing the math. So from a business and planning standpoint, she'll help you with calculating out how much money you're actually leaving on the table by not working on your database. And then she will teach you how to categorize and tag people in a way so that way you know exactly who belongs where in your database and how you're going to reach out and talk to them moving forward. And at the end of all of that, in 60 minutes, you'll walk away with an action plan. You'll know exactly what you're going to do next to get that database dialed in and start making some real headway with actually making it a meaningful asset for you. So that's 60 minutes of time in July to help you really pour into the biggest asset that you have in your business. This is usually a class that she teaches at $295 a seat, but Growth Minded is working with her to make sure that this is a free event for you all. So scan that code and get signed up for the July event. Looking forward to seeing everyone there.
All right. Thank you, Amy. And we want to thank all of our sponsors for the region: Top Flight Home Loans, Growth Minded Talent Solutions, Choice Home Warranty, Signature Agent Services, and America's Preferred Home Warranty. You can find this regional rally and all of our regional rallies on our YouTube channel at KW Colorado Region 7. We also do the Mile High Market Brief and other trainings there as well. Charles.
All right, so let's get this thing rolling. On the next slide, this is what you guys are going to see. You guys are going to see that we have an update in Canva. And so what we are looking at, guys, is we have brand new to us 700 new design templates that have been imported into our KW Canva accounts. And so when we're looking at this, so firstly, if you don't know, now you know we have a Canva account that is in here for our command. And inside this, we have the Michael Lewis Marketing Suite with 700 new designs. Now, what's interesting about this 700 new designs is that if we were using this product beforehand, this is a $500 a month product that the Michael Lewis was charging, and KW has gone out and acquired this and has now sent it out to us at no added cost. This is a part of our tech stack. And with these 700 new professionally designed templates, they are going to be creating more and more content for us as we are going through. And on our next slide, what we're going to notice is this. If you don't know what our KW Canva account looks like, guys, we have the ability inside of our marketing suite now. So if you go to agent.kw.com, you are going to be logged into your command account. And if you scroll over on the left-hand side, you have your applets. And what you're going to notice is that Paintbrush with the pad is no longer there. All right, so that has disappeared as of last week, and we are just living in marketing now. So inside of marketing, once we click on this applet, we have the Create in Canva icon. We can create, and when we log into this, it's just your KW ID. You can log in and you have the ability to start creating. We have multiple different things that we can do as we're going in here. And one of the applets I do want to tell you guys about is this. You have the ability to take your listings off of the MLS and import them directly into Canva as we are playing with all these design features. So I'd implore everyone to go in and play with this. Go into agent.kw.com, go into the marketing suite. And when we go in there, you're going to have the ability to look at your new email campaigns, your dashboard. The We brand has disappeared at this point, and now it is truly Canva, and your whole digital widgeting dashboard all lives here. And one more update for us on our next slide is this. If you go into agent.kw.com and you click on Connect, Connect looks a little bit different now. And what's neat about this new Connect feature is this, it lives under learning and events. And so, depending on what you click on, guys, I don't know if you have ever played in Connect, but it's a little bit clunky, right? Where you would go in and you would get anything that touched one of the words that you were looking for, and it pulled a lot of different data, and you were just scrolling. This new update is going through, and we have the ability to have cleaner details to where if you're going to events, it's going to pull all the events that touch the category. If you go into learning, it's going to touch all the learnings that touch that category, and it's going to come more seamlessly, so it's easier to find more content. Guys, that is the three updates that we have. We have Canva, we have our marketing suite, and Connect has been changed. And I implore everyone to go in there and start playing around with this.
Hey, Charles, just have a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
When Canva came out for Keller about a year ago, um, what type of Canva account did everybody get included now in their tech fee?
Yeah, so we have these enterprise accounts, right? So we have the Canva enterprise accounts, and these mimic a lot like the pro accounts. Now there are some limited features that the enterprise accounts that the pro accounts don't have, but for the most part, I don't think anyone's going to be able to tell the difference, right? There is some very nuancy changes, but yet again, we have the ability to pull all of the graphics that have been created in Canva, KW, Michael Lewis, and it all lives in here at no added cost to your marketing stack.
And the enterprise account, the beauty of it is it's synced to the MLS, so it should be easier for you to create collateral without having to download and upload.
Yeah, that I mean that's what's awesome. I mean, Canva obviously has products out there that you can go spend, hundreds of dollars doing these syncs. But yet with our collaboration with Keller Williams and Canva at no added cost, you are able to go onto the MLS through an applet, pull either your listings or someone in your market center's listings or someone just in any of the ecosystems that we travel in, so that if you're doing some marketing collateral that you're able to pull that in and dump it right into one of these thousands of design templates that we have at no added cost.
All right. Thanks, Charles.
You're
We're
welcome.
going to recognize some agents, starting with individuals for closed units, top five. Corey Martin and Jeff Ryder tied with 7.5 closings. Hussein Garcia and Sue Kenner with eight each. Top three units, Daniel Egan in Client's Choice. Jill Locke, I saw Jill a second ago, was number two. Great job. And Sheila Bailey led the way with 12 units closed. For volume, Allison Wall was in the 10th place. Jeff in the ninth. Sue Kenner in the eighth. Christina Matthews closed 4.7 million. Heather Christensen from DTC, 4.8 million. Diane Goldsmith from the Highlands, 4.8 and a little more. Lydia Golesh was the fourth place top individual with 6.1 million closed. And our top three for the month of May, Daniel Egan from Client's Choice, Sheila Bailey from Denver West, and Tony Giacconi with 12 million closed, Summit County. Great job, Tony. For GCI, Tina Cameron was in the 10th spot, Corey Martin in the ninth, Sue Kenner in the eighth, Jeff Ryder broke the 100K club, Allison Wall sixth, Heather Christensen five, Lydia Golesh four, and our top three GCI individuals, Sheila Bailey at 168, Daniel Egan at 215, Tony Giacconi won the month at 330. Great job, individuals. Two licensed agents make up a team. Number five was the Grand Junction Group in Grand Junction. Number four, tied, 4 units each. The Quintera team, Razor Group, McChesney team, Mancha and Associates, JC Denver Home Team, Foot Team, and Buy It team. Top three teams. In the third spot, three-way tie, Van Westenberg Partners, the Fishkin team, and the Artisan Group. Number two, four-way tie with 6 units each, Signature Home Team, Russ Porter Group, the Kiker team, the Vincent Group, great job. And Seed Property Group closed 8 and led the category. Whoops. Yeah, there we sorry, went the wrong direction. For volume, 10th spot went to the Foot Team. The Vincent Group took the 9th spot. The Artisan Group, the 8th. Gill Orchard Homes took the 7th spot. JC Denver Home Team closed 3.4 million. The Kiker Team 3.7 million. The Fishkin Team 3.8 million. And our top 3 teams for closings: Signature Home Team from Summit County 4.1, Seed Property Group from DTC at 5.0, and Russ Porter from DTC at 5.2 million closed. Moving on to GCI, top 10, the Vincent Group from Castle Rock, Gill Orchard Homes from North Jeffco, the Quintera Team from Client's Choice, the Foot Team also from Client's Choice. JC Denver Home Team from Highlands was 6th, the Kiker Team from DTC 5th, Lark Mountain Group from Denver North 4th, and our top 3 GCI teams were Seed Property Group at number 3, Signature Home Team at number 2, and Russ Porter Group led the way at number 1. Moving on to more than 2 agents, top groups, closed units. Next Gen Home Group closed 15. Jamie Baker Ord Team closed 21.25. Top 3, Empower Home Team Colorado Front Range, number 3 with 26 units. By the way, they were number 1 for the state of Colorado large teams for volume. Great job, Gay and friends. Colorado Lifestyle Real Estate Group was number 2 with 29 closings, and the Johnson team closed 40. For volume, Atha team was 10th. The Dixon Group, 9th. Jamie Baker Orr, 8th. Next Gen Home Group, 7th. High City Group, 6th. The Skinner Team, 5th. The Dolph Team, 4th. And our top 3, the Johnson Team closed 15.6. The Empower Home Team Colorado Front Range closed 17.3. And Colorado Lifestyle Real Estate Group closed 21.5 million. Great job. For GCI, the Atha Team was the 10th spot. The Skinner Team, 9th. Jamie Baker Orr, 8th. Next Gen Home Group, 7th. Number 6 was High City Group from Denver Southeast. Number 5, the Dolph Team from Foothills. Number 4, Relevate DTC. And the top 3, the Johnson Team were in the 3rd spot. Colorado Lifestyle Real Estate Group, number 2. And Empower Home Team Colorado Front Range led the way at just over $500,000 in GCI. Great job. We're still waiting for expansion reports to be updated with our new system. We keep your fingers crossed for next month. Congrats to all of our top performers. Great job, everybody. Cooper.
All right. Thank you, Russ. And congratulations, everybody, on such a great month. Let's do something a little bit different this week. I wanted to cover a little bit more of a specific topic, and that is, let's take a look at what the market looks like for investors today. I know a lot of us work with investors, both buyers and sellers. So I wanted to touch on a few things that are impacting how investors are seeing and approaching the market compared to the typical home buyer or seller for a primary residence. So let's do a quick refresher to start off with one of the key measures of, or the key metrics of real estate investment financial analysis, which is a cap rate. I think we've all heard of cap rates. If we were in a room, I'm sure everybody would raise their hand. Yes, I've heard of a cap rate. But let's take a look at what it really is. So a cap rate, or capitalization rate, measures the income return of a property relative to its value before financing. Okay, so we take the annual net operating income, and we'll go through real quick how we calculate that, and we divide it by the property value. And that value can be either the list price or the sale price, or what we just feel a value is worth. And those can tell us different things about either a going in cap rate, a going out assumed cap rate, or what the current cap rate is. So a quick reminder on net operating income: we take our rent, we subtract out our regular operating expenses, things like taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. If you have a property manager, that's added into those operating expenses. We take all those expenses and subtract them from our income to get our net operating income. Now, of course, there's one other big line item that comes with owning property, and that is typically a mortgage. But we do not subtract our debt service or our mortgage to determine the net operating income. That gives us our CFAF, which is our cash flow after financing. So in this quick example here, we take a $500,000 property. We have $33,000-ish in rent and $12,000 a year in expenses. So we have a $21,000 net operating income, which implies about a 4.3% cap rate. So what's important to know about cap rates is that they vary widely based on geography, and it tells us something about the market. If you had to guess where Denver falls on this spectrum, I want you to think about, as I kind of walk through this, where you would put Denver. So on the left side, we have lower cap rates. That's usually what you're going to see in that 2 to 3% range. Typically, a lower cap rate has greater reliance on appreciation with weaker cash flows. So the margin of rents compared to property value tends to be a little bit tighter. These are usually higher cost of living and scarcity driven markets. So there's your hint. And on the opposite side, with higher cap rates, which tend to be in the 6, 7, maybe 8% range for residential small real estate, there's less reliance on appreciation. Properties aren't expected to appreciate as quickly, so they actually cash flow more on a monthly basis. Rent is higher relative to the property's value. And these are typically lower cost and yield driven markets. So it's really what investors are willing to balance compared to current yield or what they're cash flowing every month outside of their or net of their operating expenses versus what they expect property values to be in the future and how much they're banking on appreciation. So let's do it in the chat real quick. Tell me where you think Denver, the Denver metro area, falls on this spectrum. Let's put a number in the chat. We'll do 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8. Okay, Kansas City-ish. 3%. All right, 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3. Nice. Okay. Yep, seeing a lot of 3 to 4%. Unreasonable. Well, it may be, but you guys are all pretty close. Yes, 3.1%. If you said 3%, you are awesome. Yeah, Denver is a relatively low cap rate market. And if we look back historically, it makes sense because we have had such strong appreciation in this market that investors are willing to buy properties and not make much money every month from cash flow because they're betting on appreciation to make the money. But what I want to stress as important here is that there isn't necessarily a good or a bad cap rate. It just depends on your goals. It's more of a descriptive metric than it is prescriptive or predictive. It's just the relationship between value and income. And if you buy a property in Pittsburgh and you're expecting, a 6.6% cap rate, you're probably not expecting the property value to be increasing at 6% a year like we've had in Denver for the past 15 years. So let's talk about Denver specifically and why cash flow is so difficult, especially in Denver and Colorado as a whole right now. Well, the math is really seeing pressure from 3 different angles. Our prices are still rising. They're still high. We have not seen much negative price pressure. We have seen a little bit of a leveling off of our appreciation rates, but in general, investors and buyers as a whole are still paying top dollar for properties. At the same time, rents have not seen as much of an increase in the past few years as prices have. And in some submarkets, in fact, if we look at, for example, the Denver condo market or the Denver apartment market, rents are actually slightly declining over the past 2 years. And then, of course, as we all know, financing and operating costs are up. Inflation continues to run at about 3% a year right now. Interest rates are high, borrowing costs are high, especially for investors who aren't getting primary residence loans. So even a property that has a positive net operating income can have debt service that costs so much money that cause it to have a negative cash flow. So in our low cap rate market, where we're only looking at about 3.1% on average for small residential properties, the deal that buyers, investors are looking at really has to work through appreciation or value add strategies, or if they're flipping, they have to have a big margin because monthly cash flow is not necessarily the investment strategy for a buyer getting in today. It was 15 years ago, and I'll show you the chart why, but not today. So I'm not going to run through all of this because there's a lot of data on this slide. It's more for me to just provide to you. So feel free to take a picture, or I will make my slides available at the end of the presentation so you can download them. But I pulled all this data from all these different counties so you can see it. But really what I want you to look at is the last three columns here. We've got the average rent as a percent of the typical income in that county. We've got the typical mortgage payment as a percent of the typical income in that county, and the difference between those two. And what you'll notice is that in these 15 most populous counties in Colorado, the average difference between rent as a percent of income and mortgage payment as a percent of income is 93%. So in Colorado, generally, if you are buying versus renting, you're spending about 93% more of your relative monthly income on mortgage than you would on rent. Think about what that means for an investor. It means that there's not a lot of properties that are going to be cash flowing for them every month. So again, take a look at your specific county. If yours isn't listed here, please feel free to shoot me an email. I'd be happy to dive into your specific area if you want to see those numbers. But very interesting stuff here to take a look at how time on market is correlated with these different factors, how vacancy rates are correlated with these different factors, and really just understanding the difference between the cost of renting versus the cost of ownership in your area. Now, rents and prices change over time, and it causes different market dynamics. If we index both the average rent and average home value in Colorado back to 2005, they're both in about the same place today as a percentage difference. However, what we saw was in 2020, when prices started to spike, rents went up as well, but not as quickly. And now they've both flattened out. But the cost differential is still very, very significant, right? Statewide, the buy versus rent differential, the cost to buy versus the cost to rent, we know is about 88, 90, 93%, depending on how you measure it. It's almost double to own versus to rent. And that doesn't just impact home buyers, but it impacts investors too, because the math doesn't work when you have 2x a monthly payment versus what the market rent is for that property. So why is it that while these trends look similar, they are so different? The reason is that rates hit mortgage payments immediately. Banks underwrite loans based on where interest rates and inflation expectations are now in the preceding couple weeks, really. Rents adjust much more gradually. So prices move or payments move faster than rents. And that's why Colorado can look stable from a housing value perspective, but can still be very difficult from an investor cash flow perspective because rents don't see that impact right away. The pressures flow through construction costs, ownership costs, maintenance costs, and it takes a while for higher interest rates to show up in higher rents. And sometimes it doesn't at all. So let's take a look at what's happening with rent in the past couple years in Denver. Rents are down a little bit. They're down almost 3% from the peak in 2024. And what this has caused is a lot of competition, or what it's stemming from is a lot of competition, especially in the multifamily market. More apartment supply has come on the market in the past few years than we've seen since the 70s, I think, by unit count. So last year, if we see where the yellow and the blue lines are, the yellow line is 5+ unit, the number of units permitted per year for 5+ unit structures. So think apartment buildings. And the blue line is single family units. single family homes. Last year, in 2025, there were only 5% more single family permits issued as 5+ unit permits issued. That is just about as close as those have been in about 4 decades. There are almost as many apartment buildings coming online, units in apartment buildings coming online as there are single family homes in the Denver metro area, or in Colorado, actually. This is Colorado statewide. So from the 90s to the mid 2000s, we had this single family boom of construction. That's when we had massive net migration numbers. Colorado was growing at, I don't know, 5%, 10% a year in terms of population. And we were building the housing to keep up with it. And we weren't building a lot of multifamily. Fast forward to today, of course, we're still having that supply boom because we recognize that we need more housing stock, and single family housing is part of that. But we are also seeing an apartment boom. And if you drive around Denver right now, you're going to see a lot of cranes putting up buildings. I will tell you firsthand that less than 10% of those, probably less than 5% of those, are condominiums. A vast majority of the development right now is for rent product. So all of that considered, this massive supply coming online of apartments has caused apartment buildings to battle it out, to race to the bottom with pricing, and that compresses rents downward about 3% in the last 2 years. So let's talk about the individual investor to wrap things up. Let's take a look at the different strategies that people are using and kind of touch on why each one may work right now and may not be working. Flipping is very difficult right now because prices are still at all-time highs, and it's all about the entry point. So if you're able to build a very good pipeline and acquisition strategy where you're getting in cheap, that's where the margin is made. The margin is not made today in cutting construction costs or selling for absolute top dollar. Why? Because buyers can be very selective today. And I've shown some houses in the past few weeks to some of my buyers, and we walk in and boy, can you tell it is a flip. And when a buyer is looking at 4 months of inventory on the market and they're not super excited to move quickly because they've got no urgency with a 6.5% interest rate, well, they're moving on to the next house. And that flipper that operated that property is not going to get top dollar. So it works right now if you have the acquisition strategy in place, but construction costs and materials and holding costs and carrying costs and financing costs are all much more expensive, which compresses those margins for flippers. So let's talk about value add rentals. This is basically a flip and then hold. It's good for operators right now who know what they are doing because, again, you have to be somewhat predictive of the market to be able to say, I'm going to add value to this property and rent it out and make money in the long term. It's not something where it's automatic. You have to calculate what the value addition is going to bring in additional rents. I don't think this is good for beginners right now because in a majority of cases, the money that you're spending on putting into a property to rehab it and then rent it probably isn't going to result in cash flow in the end. You know, we used to talk a lot in the real estate industry about the BRRRR strategy, right? Buy, rent, or buy, rehab, refinance, rent, right? Where you add value to a property and then you cash out refi. Well, those cash out refis right now are quite expensive. And in most cases, if you're cashing out your equity after a rehab, that rent isn't going to cover your mortgage. So the value add has to be pretty significant. And again, just like flipping, it's all about the entry point. What about long-term turnkey properties? Well, at a 3.1% cap rate in Colorado, it's going to be difficult if you're using a lot of financing to get cash flow from a turnkey property. Again, they're selling for top dollar and the carrying costs are just really high. This has kind of disappeared in the condo and townhouse market where HOAs are, $200, $300, $400, $500 per month. That is your entire profit margin as an operator of a long-term rental unit. So I identified this as suboptimal conditions. I think it can still work for cash heavy buyers, people who don't need to utilize a lot of financing, so low loan to value. In most cases, you're seeing investors have to put down at least 50% to make the rents pencil out. Um, However, a big category of people that this is still working for is 1031 exchanges, right? If you're selling your property and you're using a tax deference strategy like a 1031 to put it into another property, a lot of times those people do not mind just breaking even or even losing a little bit because it's less than they would pay in capital gains taxes. So we are still seeing 1031 buyers quite frequently park their cash in turnkey long-term rentals, even if they're just breaking even. In fact, I represent a buyer who's closing on one tomorrow. Probably only going to break even, but they're saving probably $100,000 in taxes in capital gains just to park their cash in a solid single-family asset in Denver. And lastly, short-term rentals. We've seen a lot change over the past few years. The pendulum has swung both ways. 2 years ago, we saw massive legislation pushes against short-term rentals, and now it has been completely, not completely switched the other way, but we've seen a big relaxation on short-term rental regulations. They are not passive income. What I tell every single person who's interested in investing in real estate is none of it is passive income, especially not short-term rentals. Uh, Most short-term rental management companies are going to take somewhere between 15 to 20% of your gross rents. So right there, you have to make sure that you are getting in an acquisition price that's going to make sense. And you have to be in a highly premium or destination tourist market for it to work. And there's a lot of risks because one, you have HOAs. If your property is going to be in an HOA, an HOA all of a sudden can shut it off, even if it's not in the rules and regulations when you purchase. So keep that in mind. You also have seasonality. What happened, a couple years ago when all of a sudden travel shut off? Well, that hurt a lot of Airbnbs, and those kind of risks have to be priced in. So somebody has to be very comfortable taking on those risks. So overall, it's not a bad time to be an investor generally, but it takes a lot more strategy, and you have to realize what the investor is thinking about. If you want to serve your buyer and seller investors, take a look at these strategies and think through these numbers yourself. Start underwriting some properties just to understand what the investor is thinking, what's going through their mind when they're looking at properties or considering selling a property. That's all I have for you today. Thank you all so much for being here. And if you would like to download these slides, you can scan the QR code here. We'll leave it up for 10 more seconds, or visit cooperthayer.com/KWRR. Feel free to email me with any questions, call, text, email me anytime, and I will see you in July.
All right. Thank you, Cooper. Well, next up, we've got Day Trejo. Day is going to be, if you've been on social media at all lately, you've seen Day. Day, welcome to the call.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. Hey, Day,
Awesome.
before we get started talking about
Yeah,
your videos, give us just a little bit of background. How long you been in the business?
yeah.
What markets are you serving?
Yeah, so I've been in the business for about 7 years now. It's about to be seven in October, and I'm in Denver, Colorado. But we go pretty much every once in a while up to Greeley, but try to stay in Denver, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What got you started with using video in your social media?
Yeah, so about 2 years ago, I started taking social media very serious. I was stuck at 20 units, 30 units, and I just saw real estate agents that were killing it on social media in other markets. And after I started taking it really, really serious for 6 months, the calls just started coming in.
Mhm.
And after that, I was just like, I just need to double down on social media even more. So back then it was like, oh, I was trying to take videos here and there, and now it's like a full day is just dedicated to social media. But it's been amazing for our team and our group and our growth.
Mhm.
Just the amount of exposure that we've gotten from social media. But yeah, we love social media.
I love it. So we're going to
Yeah.
actually, as a structure
Mhm.
here, we're going to go through six of your recent posts that have
Mhm.
really performed well. Um, This first one is a educational interview type post. Why did you choose an interview format in like this on a couch rather than just looking into the camera? And what results did you get?
I like to have the conversations with my agents. Sometimes it's a little bit of training, so it's kind of like it helps me out, like with helping agents train and understand, like, hey, these are questions that real people have. So whenever I'm making these videos, I try to think about like, hey, I'm not a real estate agent. I'm a first time home buyer or I'm a first time seller, and I try to step in their shoes. And a lot of the times you'd be surprised, like there's very common questions that people have no idea about in the industry, like even like earnest money or who pays for the inspection. And there's so many questions that like Google and ChatGPT can't answer sometimes versus real world experience in Colorado. But the interview style formats that we do, it feels more genuine versus me staring at a camera sometimes. I do that a lot still. And it can get anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 views to 50,000 views. It really just depends on the video and the hook.
Got it.
Yeah.
Another type of video that you're doing is
Yeah.
food related content. And so talk to
Yeah.
us a little bit about the non-real estate content and how it plays in your overall strategy.
That's my favorite kind of content because I get to eat. It's also a write off. But I try to take a client with me, or I try to take the teammates with me, and I'm like, hey, let's go take videos of like a local spot so we can go check it out. And a lot of the times, there's a couple of things to it. So social media, it's kind of like the new Google, where
Mhm.
it's like if you want to look up for a restaurant, and I do this in every city that I go. We're going to Ireland next week, and I'm looking up stuff on social media, like things to do in Dublin, things to do in Ireland, and it's just like everything that's usually good pops up right away. So I'm putting people onto my spots that I personally like, and then also people like to reach out to me with suggestions. So like now that I have clients, whenever I'm showing them, they're going out to eat. They're like, "Oh, Dave, where should we go? I know you're the guy." So it's kind of like it shows that I'm the local expert. And then the really cool thing that I've loved that it has done for our social media is that I invite the business owners, like a collaboration, or I tag them on the post. They share it with their sphere and their clients, and I'm getting a lot of their followers too. We posted this Italian restaurant in Cherry Creek, and that one, it was kind of like the Carbone of Denver. I'm not sure if you guys know, but like Carbone is like a famous restaurant in New York,
Yeah.
and people were going crazy. It got like 90,000 views in like 2, 3 days, and
Wow.
lots of followers and lots of people just engaging with the content after that. So we're seeing like a good 200 to 300 new followers every month on social media, just on Instagram.
So I don't know how to make that replay, but
Yeah.
as it was playing, there were different shots and cuts, cutting in and cutting
Yep.
out. How much time are you spending on a video like that trying to edit it?
Ho- Well, editing, I would say it would take me 5 to 10 minutes. And then
Yeah.
the video content, it takes me like 2 minutes when I'm actually at the restaurant. I
Right.
literally just like set up the camera, just like this Zoom meeting. I set it up, take a bite. I'm like, it's pretty good. Like, I like it. Come check it out. And
Yeah.
then I just edit it, and I try to post it around 5 p.m., 6 p.m., depending on the day. But I like to
Got it.
post it when people get out of work.
What tool are you using for the editing?
CapCut and then Reels, Instagram Reels.
Okay. Got
Yeah,
it.
and it's super easy.
Love it. So we've also got the walking and talking market advice videos. When
Mhm.
you're doing educational content like this, how do you
Yeah.
balance the market insights with the salesy, without sounding too salesy?
I genuinely talk about what's going on with my deals. So I feel like that's the easiest way to come up as authentic. So like if I'm showing condos in Rhino, I'm like, hey, it looks like there's really good deals out in Rhino. Today we're checking out some properties, lots of price reductions. And it's like I'm already immersed in the market. I'm already in it. So it's easy for me to talk about it and just like spit it out while I'm at the property or while I'm literally on the street. But those do really well. People like whenever they're following you, and then the people like whenever you're walking around. It seems like you're just this busy guy, and then they're like, "Oh, this guy's busy. I gotta listen to him," and it seems important. You know what I mean?
Sure. Got it. We also noticed a bunch of humor videos and
That's
like this one
hilarious.
with the lease. Um, what purpose does humor play in your content mix? I mean, how do you decide when
Yeah.
to do something that's just funny?
Oh man, we actually did a really funny video this week. It was a listing video, and I pretended like there was a fire alarm going off, and I was just running to the house. That one got like 10,000 views, and we got a couple of inquiries on it.
Hmm.
But like the the humor content, it kind of breaks up the professional content all the time. So I try to throw in some personal stuff in there. I like people to see the kind of person that I am besides being a real estate agent. We also like we had I'm a very big Drake fan, so I like the rapper.
Yeah.
And we had a whole party, just like Drake themed. We had like Drake cutouts, and I got to meet like 200 people at the event from social media that also liked Drake. So I got to immerse some people into like my hobbies and stuff that I like. But people see me singing Drake songs all the time in the car. And I'm like, on my way to showings, I got to put Drake on. And the humor just really helps people understand that you're human and not a real estate agent 24/7.
Love that.
Yeah.
So, dual view home tours. Can you break down the framework for combining property tools with education and why that approach performs better than just showing the house?
Yeah, so I have the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and there's like a dual capture setting on the phone.
Yeah.
The thing that I like about the dual home tours is that people can see my genuine reaction whenever I'm seeing stuff.
Mm.
So this house, it was like 600,000, and I was just walking through it, and I was kind of like picking it apart because there's a lot of things that I noticed that was wrong with it.
Yeah.
And I think people don't want to be sold 24/7. People want to see your genuine reaction. So to me, I'm like, oh, the roof needs to be replaced. There's foundation issues. There's a lot of stuff in here that's a little bit more broken down. And I personally wouldn't, submit an offer if I was a first time home buyer on this one because there's too many big ticket items. But I like the dual capture rated just because people really do feel like it's genuine. They see my reaction at the same time that I'm walking through the property versus a regular standard tour that everybody else is doing.
Got it. And is that only I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but is that only a iPhone 17 feature or do some of the earlier models or Android models do the same?
It might be a only 17 Pro feature, and then Android might have it because Android is pretty good with their phones too. But I think it's
Yeah.
just a new
Android
iPhone
does
thing.
have
Yeah.
Mhm.
Android
Yeah,
gets
so Android
everything
does
before
have it.
Apple, right?
Right. Yes. Yes.
And for cheaper.
Snapchat has a filter, and there's apps for it to do dual capture too.
Mm,
So I know
got it.
Snapchat sometimes has it, and then you can download it as well.
Love it. Um, so we've also got the day in the life. What are you hoping people take away from this?
For me, I kind of want people to see kind of the steps that I go through every day. So people understand that, hey, if I don't answer, maybe I'm busy and this is what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
Or also people just see, the good, the bad, the ugly of real estate, inspections going wrong. I post videos of me like in crawl spaces. I'm like, does your realtor do this? Stuff like that. But I feel like the day in the life, it gets people a pretty good idea of what I do. Cause I feel like a lot of people don't also know what a real estate agent does sometimes, like a lot of clients. So I
Right.
try to show them, hey, not only am I opening up doors for you, I'm showing up to the inspection, I'm negotiating, I'm going to the closing table. I'm doing all these little things that are behind the scenes that people don't see. Even like writing an
Yeah.
offer. People don't know it takes
Right.
a little bit.
Exactly.
Takes a
Yeah,
while.
there's a lot more to it than just opening a door and whatnot.
Yes.
So we've looked at a number of different styles. We've looked at the interview and the non-real estate content. Restaurant was the example
Mhm.
here. The education as you walk down the street. We looked at just something funny. We
Mhm.
looked at the house tour with comments. Um, how do you decide what to post when and what's the cadence? How does it all work?
Yeah, I've learned in the last couple of months and in the last year that you really have to understand your audience and kind of
Mhm.
like what you're trying to capture. The more you post about first time home buyers, you're going to get a lot of first time home buyers. The more you post about sellers, you're going to get sellers. Same with $1 million properties. It really just depends. And since we're expanding the team and just trying to build our systems, we're targeting a wider net. So we're just trying to focus more on like the average 450 to $650,000 price point lately, because there's a lot more buyers in that inventory. So we're targeting that audience, and then I'm also posting listing videos so that I'm attracting more listings. And the last month, I took it really serious, and we've had probably 12, 15 listing appointments this month, and we've signed 4 listings, and we have a couple more that we're working on. So it's like kind of like what you say, what you focus on expands.
Yeah, that is what we say.
Yeah.
So, whoops, sorry about that. Um, what else should we know? And folks, if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. What else around Instagram, social media strategy, video? What would you say to somebody who's they're just not doing this at all?
I would say if you take it really serious, it's very easy to reach out to a couple of thousand people a month from social media videos. Like last year, out of the units that we did, we closed 20 leads from social media. And that was me spending 1 day a week from 9 to 1 p.m. just taking videos. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be fancy. People just want to see real estate content in Denver, Colorado, or whatever market you guys are in.
Yeah.
But I would say it's the lowest hanging fruit of people that are unrepresented, that are motivated. And, I'd rather post a video all day, every day. We're getting anywhere from 1,000 to 3,000 views per video, and we're
Hmm.
posting 3 to 5 videos per day. So we're getting 15,000 views a day. And it's like, I'd rather do that every single day than reach out and cold call 15,000 people. I feel like that's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like a billboard and people are just driving past it every day. And you just have to catch the ones that are interested to see your billboard and what you have to say. But
Hmm.
even all the agents on my team, um, we have two agents, and one of them, she did probably like $110,000 GCI last year, her first year with me.
Yeah.
And I set her down and I told her, hey, like follow this recipe of posting every single day and be consistent with your calendar and make sure that you're on it and watch how many referrals and people are going to reach out to you. Because like the way that I see social media, you're not only advertising to the people that you don't know, you're advertising to the people that you do know that are just on the sidelines that don't want to reach out. And then whenever they do
Yeah.
want to reach out, you're going to be their go-to. And I feel like you just earn their trust a lot easier and quicker if they see you posting all the time because they think that you're busy or they see that you're in the market. So even with Vanessa, the agent that we have, like she's just getting calls every day and she's getting inquiries on her website. Make sure you have a call to action on top of that, or like a funnel where people can actually reach out to you. I feel like we missed out on a lot whenever we didn't have the call to actions or kind of like a link where people can just click and leave their phone number. So just leave that automated for
So,
yourself.
so for those who may struggle with call to action, what would be an example of a call to action?
Comment tour if you want to see this property.
Yeah.
And then you get their phone number, email, and then you reach out to them and then you see if it's a good client, if it's a good potential lead. And then I also say like click the link in bio
Yeah.
if you want more information. But it really just depends. We try to spice it up and see which one's more consistent.
Yeah.
The problem with doing the comment for a tour is that it seems like on certain platforms you can't message more than once. Like TikTok, you
Hmm.
can't message more than once, and then Instagram and Facebook, it does let you message them a couple of times before it's like, all right, you're spamming this person.
Got it.
So that's kind of what I would suggest is just have a call to action where it's easier for them to reach out to you.
Dave, when you do that comment a word, are you using something like ManyChat to automate that?
I haven't yet. The reason is I have a lot of people that are following me, and it just becomes a problem with Facebook where it's like, hey, we don't want to use Facebook as a CRM, is what it seems like. So I would say if you're not having more than 20 conversations a day, you're probably fine. But I'm having like probably like 100 conversations a day on social
Hmm.
media, so it's a lot.
So when somebody comments tour, you guys are manually looking at the comments. When you see that, you're doing something.
Yeah, I actually have a virtual assistant. So
Yeah.
before I started taking it really serious, whenever I was doing it all myself, I was spending around 5 to 8 hours a week editing, reaching out to agents for permission to do the tours, driving, taking the content. And then once I started seeing return on investment, hired a VA for like 1,200 bucks, and she edits everything. She oversees my comments and DMs. So as soon as we
Yeah.
get a lead, she throws it in the CRM, sends a screenshot to me, and says, "Call this one right away."
You just said something that I want to double click on. You
Yeah,
said reaching out to agents and getting permission to show their homes. So
yeah.
if you don't have listings,
Mhm.
go find someone to let you borrow their listing.
Yep. And agents are really appreciative. Like, don't be shy.
Yeah.
Make sure it's vacant. Make sure it's staged. Make sure it looks nice and it's bright. I've noticed that if it's unstaged or if it's a darker property, like it's just really tough to show off.
Yeah.
And overall, I mean, agents just appreciate the collaboration. And I send the agents the videos too after I'm done. I'm like, hey, you can use this video as well. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for letting me share your listing. And, it's free content. Why not?
for sure. You use Instagram. I heard you say TikTok. I heard you say
Yep.
Facebook. Any
Yep.
other platforms that you're focused on?
Not really. Facebook has been the most serious buyers for me.
Mhm.
After that, it's been TikTok. And then lastly, it's Instagram.
Interesting.
Yep.
Budget. How much are you spending on all this?
I'm spending probably $1,200 a month and it's all on my VA. So not
Oh,
really anything. That's pretty much it.
so someone
It's
was
all on my
Juan
phone.
was asking about cameraman,
Yeah.
like your cameraman, somebody on your team for free.
It's me. No,
It's
it's
you.
me. I take all the videos myself.
Yeah.
And then I tell people like if you don't have someone to record you, buy a tripod for $50, set it up on the corner of the house, talk in front of it, and just get used to talking to the camera. And that's pretty much it. I found it way too hassling to have two agents or have someone with you at all times. And for me, it's all about saving my time. So I want to make sure I'm just on the go. I'm doing 5 properties on Fridays
Mhm.
and from 9 to 11, and I'm cranking out frequently asked question videos in between those videos as well. So it's like I'm not
Wow.
wasting any time the whole time that I'm out.
Yeah. I love it. Dave, we really appreciate you helping us today.
Of course, of
All
course,
right.
of
Hope you have
course.
a good one.
All right, guys, appreciate it.
Folks, our next regional rally is Monday, July 20th. We will see you there. And thanks for being on the June regional rally. Take care.